Good evening, everyone. It's nice to be here once again. I hope you had a great day. All right, so it's nice to be back here. Yes, so I'm sure we have been learning a lot during this week. We've learned about different text to speech models and also how to have access, right, to some of these models that have been assented to Nigerian accents. Excellent. So I'll be doing a brief, no, I'll be doing a brief recap this time around. You would be telling me what you've learned over the course of the week. What have you learned? What did you learn rather on Monday? What did you learn on Tuesday? Tell me what you learned on Monday and what you learned on Tuesday. All right, let me know what you have learned on Monday and what you learned on Tuesday. Across all the things you were taught, what were the things that you can remember, right, when you are asked, okay, you've been taught about text to speech, right? You've been taught about ASR, right? Automatic speech recognition. So what have you learned, right, from these two previous days? Okay, text to speech to text. Excellent. Using Yan GPT for transforming text to audio. Yeah, it's great to have us all back here. We are in the fifth week of this boot camp. Fifth week. And if you've been here from the first week up to this moment, like, you should clap for yourself because you have been learning a lot. Right. So we are in the fifth week. First week, second week, third week, fourth week, and this is the fifth week. We have 3 more weeks to go, right? And you have been consistent, so that's great. Speech and Yarn GPT, excellent. Speech and Yarn GPT, Oyewumi, great. So don't just tell me speech and Yarn GPT. Don't just tell me TTS and speech to text, right? Tell me about it, explain it. Let me know you understand this, what you've been taught, right? Okay, so if you are just joining, you're welcome to class. This is the fifth week of our Generative AI Bootcamp organized by AI Now, right? The Incubator Hub. So today I'm asking about what you've learned. Tell me about what you've learned on Monday, on Tuesday. Yeah, what have you learned? What did you learn? Anyone? Tell me about what you've learned Monday, what you learned on Tuesday. I can see some responses, but oh, I can see Clement saying he missed yesterday's class. All right. But if you missed yesterday's class, tell me what you learned on Monday then. Okay. Speech for automatic speech recognition. No, I like staying close to my camera this way so that you can see my head very well. All right. Yeah, how to get your API key from Yan GPT. Excellent. I like that, Benjamin. You learned how to get the API key that will enable you to have access, right, to the models on Yan GPT, and then you can use that for text to speech. Excellent. And do you also know how to get your API key from speech? I can see Oyemumi saying speech, SPITCH, right? Do you also know how to get your API key from speech? That's SPITCH. Yeah. Excellent, Clement. Yeah, with Yan GPT. And it's great to see that it's a Nigerian, right, that created Yan GPT. So that is excellent to see Nigerians creating AI for Nigerians. Christian, how to create text to speech using Yan GPT. Yes, excellent. Oh, sorry about that, Simon. This is the fifth week, right, of this generative AI bootcamp. And even if you were a total beginner at the beginning of this bootcamp, right, if you've been following us right from week one up to this present time, week five, I'm very sure that well, you are not like a beginner anymore, right? Because you've gained lots and lots of knowledge, right, from this boot camp. Yes, Unilag, excellent, Oyumi. Thank you, Olufonke. Okay, so I can see that most of us have already responded to my question on telling me what you learned, right, on Monday and then on Tuesday. All right. So I'm going to ask you some questions. Yes, I asked the question initially. I can see that most of us will now have access to Speech API. Sorry. Okay. Yes, excellent. Abi Anthony, you learned how to get your API key from YanGPT and Speech. Excellent. Yes, you should not add code, right? Yes, you can just use the user secret, right? Excellent from Google Colab. Excellent, Abia Anthony. All right. So, can you tell me some real world application, right, of text to speech, speech to text, anyone you remember? Tell me some real world applications that you've interacted with of text to speech. Oh, All right. Well, I should stop. Don't worry about that. We are just discussing now, right? So give me some applications, right? Tell me about some application of text to speech to text that you have interacted with already. Benjamin is saying audiobook, podcast generation. Okay, Benjamin. Excellent. Notebook LM. I like that. Yes, excellent. Also, Christian Notebook LM. Siri, yeah. Yes, Siri, do this. Yes, excellent. Let's have more examples. Gemini, yeah, yes, there's like a speaker part, right, on the interface where you can speak also, and you can also do that on ChatGPT, right? Okay, Google. Excellent. Yeah, Google Assistant, Felicity. Great. So it's great to see that we already know most of the real world applications, right, of this speech to text or text to speech, right? Okay, I can see Clement also saying that speech to text can be used to take note of what is being said. Yes, when you are speaking, right? Real time, right? It can take real time notes, right, from what is being said. Excellent, Clement. Speech to text. And how can this be differentiated from ASR, right? What's the difference between speech to text and then automatic speech recognition? Right, what's the difference between the two? Okay, I can see Francis saying it's same. Is the same. Oh, okay. Oh. Abby Anthony, medical detection. For what? Medical detection. For what? Which one are you saying is used for medical detection? And what type of medical detection are you talking about? Right. Well, Francis, according to the slides, right, that was shared with you on, I think, Monday or Tuesday, right? Automatic speech recognition, you can use it for both real time and offline. They do the same thing largely, but automatic speech recognition, you can use it for both real time and offline transcription, right? But for STT, speech to text, right, is majorly helpful when for real time, right? So it's not different, right? But real time transcription is that's what speech to text is majorly used for, right? But automatic speech recognition is broader. You can use it both for real time and also offline. Yes, excellent. Um, Online car, excellent. To clerk a patient. Excellent. So I can see that my colleague has introduced you to the world of medicine. Wow, great. Excellent. I do not have a medical background, so I wouldn't know how to clerk a patient, right? But that's a great one, right? Real time, like as the meeting is going on, right? You are taking the notes, right? And then offline is, it's not real time, right? Majorly, maybe you want to do use for batch processing of, let's say, audio files that you have somewhere, right? That can be an offline transcription. Exactly. All right. So I'm sure we all have access to the notebook my colleague shared on GenAI for speech hands-on. So I'll be sharing my screen right now. Okay, so let me share my screen. Yes, so I'm sure we all have access to this notebook. So I'm sure we all have access to this notebook. Please confirm if you have access to this notebook. All right, I can see lots of responses to Clement's question. Excellent. I like this. We don't have access to this notebook. Wow. Okay, I can see lot of responses to Clement's question. Excellent. Uh-huh. Yes, Abia Anthony. Well, if that is your understanding, well, they both do the same thing largely, right? But one can just perform very well in real time and one performs very well offline, right? So I don't think that disrupts your understanding of what is being done, right? So yeah. Yes, it's on the LMS. Yes. So if you do not have access to it, please check your if you do not have access to this notebook, check your early learning management system, please. And I will employ our admin to also please reshare the link to this notebook. And if you have made a copy of this notebook before, I would tell you to um like you can reload, right, what we have there. Reload it because some new content have been added to it. Then you can now save a copy again in your drive, right? Excellent, Francis. You went ahead to create and launch and test your Streamlit app for text to speech. Wow, I'm clapping for you. Excellent. So you were able to create a Streamlit app for text to speech, right? Such that you put in a text and then it is being converted, right, to speech. And you also choose the kind of voice that you want and the texture, right? Just like we have in the Yarn GPT documentation. Excellent. Thank you, our admin. Our admin has resent the link to the notebook, right? Great one. So we'll be picking up from where you stopped in our last class. For those of us that are saying we do not have access to the notebook, right? It has been resent again. Excellent. Oh, there was an issue with the speech code. All you just had to do is, of course, get the API key. I'm sure our tutor just wanted us to figure that out ourselves, right? And great to see that we've been able to do that, which is telling that we are no longer beginners on this class. We are bosses, right, of Gen AI. This is the 5th week. I'm excited. I hope you are excited too. Okay. Excellent. Abaju. So for those of us that have not moved on from where we stopped yesterday, please kindly go back to the original notebook, right? Go back to the original notebook, reload it, right? So you can get the new content, right, that has been added to the notebook. Reload it, right? And then you can now create a copy and then save this copy in your drive, right? I'm sure we all already understand this first part, the Google Colab, getting your Yarn GPT API key. I can see most of us already mentioned that, and I'm sure our tutor has taken his time to explain all this to us. Then yes, so we know that we can pick different voices, right, that we like from Yarn GPT. It will give us the texture and kind of characteristics that we want, right, in that voice. And we know what request does, we know what post request, right, what it does, and we know this is a post request, and we know how to listen, right, to that audio, right, that was generated. So in this first example, I know we've done this, I'm just doing a revision, right? We have this Yoruba piece of text that we want to convert to speech, right? So when we play this, you can use ipython.display import audio, then use that audio to play whatever file was generated, can just play it and you
Ọlájídé sọ pé ó yẹ kí ìjọba tètè dá sí àtúnṣe àwọn ọ́fíìsì náà kó tó pẹ́ jù kí ìjàmbá má bàa wáyé sí àwọn tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ nínú rẹ̀. Aṣòfin náà, tó jẹ́ alága ìgbìmọ̀ tó ń rí sí ọ̀rọ̀ ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ àti ọ̀rọ̀ oyè jíjẹ sọ pé púpọ̀ nínú àwọn ọ́fíìsì tó wà láwọn ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ káàkiri ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ni kò ṣeé lò mọ́.
Yes, I'm sure our tutor has gone through all this with us. So I'll just be moving on to the speech aspects. I'll move on to the speech aspect. I'm sure we also have our speech API. All you have to do is do your people install for your library and then get your secrets right. If you this version notebook, like new things have been added to it. So that is why I'm saying you should reload the notebook, right, before saving a copy in your drive, right? So we've done all these parts yesterday, I'm sure, but I have to still get my secret key and then run the first part, right? So one thing about Yarn GPT, now let me ask you this question. I love asking questions. You should know that. For okay, I'll zoom in. All right, I'll zoom in. I thought we've done okay. Let me just zoom in. For Yarn GPT, right? Does Yarn GPT do text to speech or speech to text, right? Or does it do both? For Yarn GPT, does it do text to speech, speech to text, or does it do both? Yarn GPT. Okay, I can see Fadeke saying text to speech. I can see the mark saying both. I can see okay, so our tie is between text to speech and both, right? So we have a tie between text to speech and both. For those saying both, please let's check Yarn GPT's documentation, right? We all have access to Yarn GPT documentation. That's yarngpt.ai, and you can look at the title there. It says Nigerian text to speech AI. So for Yarn GPT, it only does text to speech, right? As far as I can see, right? On it, I can only see text to speech. For saying for those saying both, yes, I've zoomed in on my screen. For those saying both, please, can you see speech to text there? Maybe you could show us where you are seeing speech to text. Or I can only see text to speech, right, on Yarn GPT. Right. For Yarn GPT, I can only see text to speech. Exactly. That was going to be my next question, but Olajumoke already responded, right? For speech to text, right, you could use excellent, yes. It only does Yarn GPT for now can only do text to speech, yes. While speech, right, can speech SPITCH, right? Can it do just text to speech, speech to text, or both? That's for speech, SPITCH. Can it do just text to speech, speech to text, or both of them? Now, the new question is for speech, SPITCH. Can it do text to speech, speech to text alone, or both? Oh, you've not tried speech, but my understanding with everyone here in the class was that you all have been able to get your API from speech, SPITCH, right? You could just always also check the documentation, right, for things like this. Top Lizzy, speech to text, it can actually do both. Yes, it can do both. Excellent. Christian, Bello, Abubakar, yes, speech can do both. Excellent. Can do both text to speech and also speech to text, right? And I'm sure most of us we already have our API, right, from speech, right? And I also saw a comment where somebody said they were able to build a Streamlit application, right, for um text to speech. Excellent. Yes, speech can do both. Great one, Fadeke, Anthony, Ifeoluwa, Olajumoke. Yes. No, you don't need to create a new API key for this. This is not a new speech class, right? It is just building on what we did right yesterday. We are just building on what we did right yesterday, more like a continuation. So you do not need to create a new API key, right? So we all already have our API key from speech, SPITCH, right? So I'm just getting my own API here, right? And we've done this yesterday, right? We know that when we use client.speech, right, we have to first create our client and then do from text to speech, right? To generate speech, right? From text, we know we have to use client.speech.generate, right? And then we read our response, save it to a file, right? And then once it has been saved, we can just listen to it, right?
Generative AI class for everyone. We should all join.
Excellent. So I don't know if you were able to hear that at your end, but I'm sure if you do audio and just add the name of your file to it, you would be able to listen to whatever has been generated. But do not forget to from ipython.display to import your audio. Okay, so moving on, right? Moving on, we've done this yesterday, right? The text to speech. So we'll be seeing the speech to text part, right? I'm sure some of us might have been able to do that just by checking through the documentation. So for this newly generated audio, right, we now want to get the text back, right? And to get our text back, we have to do .speech.transcribe. To get our text back from audio, we know we have to do speech.transcribe. But to get the audio from text, we know we have to do speech.generate, right? So now we are transcribing. So I'm sure some of us might have been able to do this already, right? So output.wave, yes. So you can see that not accurate, right? Saying the narrative class for AI for everyone, you should all join. So we can even change the voice. You can change the voice at your end and then see what it is going to give you. Right. Can you see? Now this works. Generative AI class for everyone. We should all join. All right. So we've been introduced to text to speech, and now we've seen an instance of how to do. Oh, excellent. After running, it's showing error of speech app doesn't exist. Top Lizzie Light. Okay, first thing, have you gotten your API key from speech? So you have to make sure the understanding I have, right, from what you all said is that you already have the speech API, right? And I'm sure everybody in this class, right, just like we were doing when we're using our organ face, right? We all know that when you get your secret key, the first thing you want to do when you're using it on Colab, right, is to add it to secret, right? Let me show you. I'm sure we all are pros in this already. You want to click on this key icon here, right? And then add your secret, right? Add a new secret, put in the name and then the content of your the value of your token, right? Or your API key, anyone works, right? And then you just use your from google.colab, import your user data.get, whatever you have to get, right? So I'm sure everybody in this class should be pros in doing that, getting your API key and then adding it to your notebook for your usage. So if you've not done that, please kindly do that. Just go to speech.app and then create your account, get your API key, and then user data.get, right? Make sure you've imported it above, right? From google.colab, import user data, right? And then you'll be able to do that. We are already pros on this class. This is the fifth week, right? This is the fifth week of this class, and I'm sure that is not new to us, right? So please, guys, please let me know if you've been able to get that out. You've been able to, one, get your API key, two, add it to the secret part of your collab, three, use it in your code. So if you've been able to do those three things, let me know. Abara Christian is saying you don't get that speech to text, right? Where did he get the voice it is transcribing? Who recorded the voice? Excellent question, Christian. So if you look at the initial cell, the cell above here, you see that we did client.speech.generate, right? Then we gave it some text, right? Generative AI classes for everyone, you should all join, right? And then we converted the text from being an ordinary text, right? We converted it to speech, right? But when we're converting it, we saved it to a file, right? Output.wave, right? And one thing you should note, right, on Google Colab is that anything you are saving, right, to a file, right, you can, if you click on the icon after the key icon, there's another icon that shows files, right? So if you click on it, after that icon where you always add your secret, that key icon, the next one shows the files, right? So if you click on it, right, you will see all the files that you are generating because you are saving them to a file, right? So that means that even apart from having them on just this Colab interface, you could download them, right, to your computer, and then you can listen to whatever you generated, right? So, but one thing you should know about saving files like this on Google Colab is that once this session has ended, right, you will not have access to these files that you can see on this left hand side again. The only way you can still have access to this file is to do something called mounting of drive. So when you mount your drive, you would change your directory. It's called changing of directory. You know, the way you move into different folders, right, on your normal PC. You can also say, okay, oh, from this Google Colab, I now want to move inside my drive, right? So that's what it's called, changing of your directory, right? So you have to now change your directory and then save your files inside your drive. In that way, you would not lose access to whatever files that you save or generate, right, during a session on Google Colab. But if you did not mount your drive, we did not mount our drive, right? So fine, all these files have been created. So you know, when you are doing text to speech, you translated your text to speech and then you saved it into a file, right, named output.wave, right? So that file was actually created. You can see it when you click on files icon, then you have access to that file, right? And you can see in this next one that it is that still that same file, right, that we are playing this.
Generative AI class for everyone. We should all join.
Yes, it is still the same file that we are getting the audio that we are playing from. So now it is still that same file, right, that we generated audio for, right, that we are now transcribing. So you can see that we are doing open, right, which is a way to open files in Python, right? Open output.wave, right, and then we are reading uh, bytes, right? So output.wave, right, is the file that we generated when we were doing text to speech, right? And it is still that same one that we are transcribing here to get our text back. Oh, my voice is cracking. Wow, I'm so sorry. Okay, it's your all right. No, no, no. In order to do speech to text, no, I'm Christian. I am just doing this because it is easy for me, right? For us to translate from speech to text, right? How did I play the audio directly from the notebook? You can just do from ipython dot display import audio, right? So it will enable you to play audio files, right, directly in your Google Colab notebook. You can see that here. Where is it? Yes, so it's here. You can also do that in your own notebook. From ipython.display, import audio, right? And then you add your file to it. I also told us at the beginning of this class that more content have been added to this notebook. Please refresh and then save a new copy again in your drive so that you can have access to the new content that have been added to this notebook. All right, so I was saying no to Christian's question. Yeah. So it's just very easy for me. You know, for speech to text, right, you need to transcribe an audio file, right? I need I need an audio file, right, to be transcribed, right? That's what speech to text does. So it's just very easy for me to just pick an audio file, right, that was it's very easy for me to pick an audio file that was generated above, right, and then just use it easily, right, for speech to text, right. But if you now want to see how to, okay, let's say you recorded something on your phone, let's say, and it has an extension of .mp3.wav, you can as well upload that file, right, to Colab, right. You can just upload the file to Colab. Two things, right? The easiest way to do it, upload the file to your drive. Once you've uploaded the file to your drive, right, you can then mount your drive on Colab, right? After mounting your drive, after you mounted your drive, then you would have access to that file, and then you will be able to add it, or you can just click on that upload icon if you don't want to add the item to your drive, if you don't want to mount your drive rather. And it's very easy to mount your drive. All you just have to do is click on this drive icon over here with see mount drive, right? Or easily, I told you, whenever you're mounting your drive, it's just to make sure the things are there even after this collab session ends, right? But you don't want to do that, you can just click on this upload icon, right? That's why I can say upload to session storage. So once the session ends, everything goes. So I can record, let me see if we can do that practical here. I should record a new and then send it to my laptop and then upload it on Google Colab. So it take a while. Let me see if that will work or if I'm able to send it. I'm recording this, checking if I can send it to my laptop. Let's see. Share to my email. So it's taking time forward. Share to myself. Oh, I've not added. Okay. Let's see. So I just sent it to my mail. Mm, okay, so let me download it from my mail to my computer. This file has an extension of .m4. Yes, exactly. I'm here, right? I'm trying to answer Christian's question. And I can see Omota is saying, where would you locate the file and how would you update it? Okay, I think I understand your question now. You do not need to locate any file, right? The same link that you have for Colab, right? It's still the same link we are using today. All you have to do is click on refresh to have the new things added show up on your end. Then you just have to do file and then also save a copy, right, in your drive. So I hope that works. Esther. All right. So I just wanted to try to do an example of how you can record something on your phone and then upload it to Google Colab and then have it transcribed. Right. Oh, so I think I understand what you're trying to say, Abubakar. So you said you want your own voice, right? You want your own voice. Well, then you have to build your own text to speech because you can see the ones that are available on Yan GPT, right? You can see the different voices available, but you could also research more on how to do that if you want to make your own original voice, right, for your text to speech app. I'm sure it's possible and you can research on how to do that. All right. Okay, so let me upload what I recorded just now. So I will upload it to my to Colab rather. So I have my audio file .m4a, which you saw me record on my phone. Can you see that it is telling you that once the runtime ends, right, you are not going to have access to that file again. So that is what I was trying to explain. So I know that already, right? So I have access to this file named so long thing. So let me try and rename. I'll just copy the name of the file, right? So Coming back here, I want to do speech to text, right? Speech to text. So I'll copy the content of this cell, put it in a new cell, and then updates rather. The extension of this file is .m4e. I recorded it on my phone so I can easily see the extension. And you should be able to see that also. Yeah, I can see that on my PC also. So that's M4A. Right. So I'll just run this. Right, so you can see that that's worked, right? I recorded something from my phone, sent it to Colab, and then I was telling us that, oh, I'm recording this, checking if I can send it to my laptop. Let's see. And that was what I said. And then you can see it beautifully transcribed, right? So this is just to tell us and fully answer Christian's question that no, it's not, you do not have to do TTS before you do STT. It just felt like a very simple way to show you how to do speech to text. That was why I just easily used the speech generated right from that text and then transcribed it back, right? But definitely you could always add your own audio files, right, to Colab, right, and then have it transcribed easily, just like we did in class. And then we know that to get your files on Colab, right, you can always see them, right, by clicking on the files icon. And you know that if you do not mount your drive, right, any file you add to your Colab notebook will be deleted at the end of the session. All right. I should repeat this process. It's a very simple, I was just trying to okay, so to mount your drive is very easy, right? To mount your drive is very easy. You just have to click on the file icon again and then click on this. You'll see this folder and then it has a drive icon in between it. That's the third icon when you click on files. So just click on it, right? It will tell you, it will automatically generate this code for you once you click on it, right? And to tell you to run this cell to mount your Google Drive, right? So you just have to run the cell, and then what I was saying before was change your directory. So you just have to do change your directory, right? Connect to Google Drive. Then give it access to your account, your Google account. Continue. Continue. Yes, so sorry, I've been able to mount my drive and then you just change the folder, right? To say, oh, everything I want to do, I want to be saving inside my drive now. So that's what this CD is doing. Change directory, just like you're changing where you want to be storing your things, right? So you're changing it to your drive. So that's how that one works. So any other thing you run, anything you generate, you won't be seeing them just when you click on your file anymore. You have to click on the drive icon, right? Click on the drive icon, and then you will see that. So I'm sure you've gotten that, Dockers. Okay, so moving on. Can this AI make longer audio file? Yeah, it depends on your text and today's tech, right? It depends on the kind of text, right, that you have, right? So depends on the kind of text that you have, right? It's can, but then sometimes you might have to like break it into chunks, right? And then say maybe concat them to make it sound nice, right? Because every model has a context window for what it can generate. Precious is saying, can you make a speech presentation and turn yourself as a baby in live session? Well, I don't understand what you are trying to say, Precious. So maybe you'd um come again, right, with that. So moving on. So I hope we've seen how to mount our drive. We have a mini project here that our tutor wants us to get to. Okay, so this project here, so if you did not refresh, you are not going to have access to this project, right? So we are using Gradio, not Streamlit. So podcast with Yarn GPT. How do you create a podcast, right, with the Yarn GPT API? So we'll be using this PyDub, right, to help us join our speech, right, from different voices, right, together. So the first thing we need to do is install this PyDub, right, and then we select voices that users can choose from, right? So we are giving it Idera, Femi, Ima, or Zainab, right? And then we are now creating a function. So the way we want this our app on Gradio to work is that the user themselves have to put in their API key, right? Their Yarn GPT API key to be able to use our app. So we are not providing API key for all the users. So that is why you can see that in this function, we are also accepting API key. And then we have the text, which is what you want to get your speech from, text to speech, and then the type of voice that you want it to use, right? And then I'm sure you are used to this part for the payload and then posting your request, right, to Yarn GPT's URL. So for this part, we are just trying to generate our conversation from the audio and then also use the PyDub. So you can see here above from PyDub, we imported audio segment. So what this audio segment is going to help us to do is help us to merge these two different voices so that it will sound like a podcast and there will be good pauses in between them at the right time. Okay, so moving on, we now also have this radio interface that we are building for our app. So without further ado, let's run it and then see how this beautiful app works. So you click on it. Dorcas is saying, after generating the audio and downloading, it's saved on the PC and can be accessed anytime after runtime expires. Yes. If you download it to your PC, right, from that session, right, yes, you can, it will always be on your computer. As long as it's on your local, right, you have access to it. Okay, Tim asked the question. I think I missed Tim's question on how to repeat the process of. So it's a very simple process. All I did was just to take my phone and then I went to my recording app. I continued talking, right? So after I was done talking, I sent it to myself, to my computer, right? And then I just uploaded it on Colab, then transcribed that file by putting in the file name, right? So that was that process. Same. Oh, beautiful app, right? Where we want you to enter your Yarn GPT API. So I'll just go to my secrets, scroll to where I have my Yarn GPT's API, right? And then just copy it. So I'll paste it here, right? And then pick my voices, right? I can say the first voice I want is Zainab. Then the next one I want is Idera, right? And then generate audio. So for this one, we already have like a specific conversation script that we want to generate from it, right? So you can see that we have our script as hello, welcome to our show, and then thank you, I'm happy to be here. So I'll play it now. You said you could hear it, so I'll play it. All right. Yes, right. And then you can also download it to your PC. So this simple Gradio app rather is just showing us how we can use the PyDub, right? The PyDub is the one really doing that work of merging those different right voices together and then the duration too. So if you look at this part, right, it is the one doing those part, the audio segment, and also adding the pauses, right, in between the lines. So this is just creating a very simple podcast, right? So you could add more voices, you could add more people, and you could also add more to your script. So let me know if you've been able to interact with this grading app. My screen is frozen. I'm not sharing the sorry, I'm not sharing the Gradio app itself, right, with you. I didn't share the Gradio app itself. I just generated it. So sorry about that. But while I would rerun that and also reshare it, right? Have you been able to run that Gradio app on your end to see how it works? Let me know if you've been able to run it on your end and if you've been able to interact with it. Oh, you said I should start explaining from where I copied the token. Okay, Omotosho, all I did was just to copy the token and then I added it to the Gradio app. Okay, I can see Miguel J so happy that it worked. Exactly, it will work. Why won't it work? Okay, so just run the I'll just run the app. So once you run the app, right, I'm sure you have access to this Colab notebook. All you just have to do is click on this link. And the link is going to take you to a new tab, right, on your right. So it's going to take you to a tab like this. So the first thing you need to do is to enter your Yarn GPT API key, right? Because this is our own app. Oh, we are not giving you free API, right? So you have to put in your own API key to make use of our app, right? So I'll just do is come back to my Google Colab notebook, right? Go to the key session, right? And then copy my API key, right, for Yarn GPT, right? And then I'll come back to the Gradio, um, come back to the Gradio app, paste my key there, pick the voices that I'm interested in using, Femi, and let me use Femi and Zeno. Femi and Zeno, right? And then I'll generate my audio, right? So once I click generate audio, Oriofelba, where did I put my Yarn GPT API key that I copied? Oriofelba, can you see my screen? Can you see the Gradio app, right? So once you load the Gradio app, right, you are going to see your Yarn GPT API key. So just click on the that tab, right, and just paste it, Control V, right, and then paste it there, pick your voices, click generate audio, and then just play it.
Hello, welcome to our show.
Thank you. I am happy to be here.
Mm-hmm. So let me know if you've been able to. So Oriofelba, I'm sure you get that now. Oh, sorry about that, Precious. But I'm sure that as long as you have access to this, um, I'm sure that as long as you rather have access to this notebook, you should be able to run it, right? Even on your phone, right? You should be able to run it even on your phone. So let me know once you've been able to do that, and then you generate like a podcast, right? You play it and then you can listen to, you can even play with the different voices, right? Great one, Odutola. So great one. I can see that Odutola is there already. So I want more people to tell me that, oh, it has worked on your end. Let me see if it has worked on your end. If you're having an error too, let us know so that we can solve it together in the class. Sorry about that, Solomon. So your own is saying no interface running right now. So Diamond, right? So let me come back to my Colab notebook. Let me share this tab instead. This is my Colab notebook, right? Make sure you are running, right, this part of your notebook, right? Make sure you are running this part. Mini project podcast with Yarn GPT, right? Make sure you are running it. If you are not running it currently, it is going to tell you, right? It is going to tell you no interface running right now, right? It's going to tell you that. So make sure you are running it currently. If you run it, you are not going to get that error. How do I get the notebook collab just joined? Oh, welcome, Kelly. This is the 5th week of the AI Now Bootcamp. So if you are just joining, I'll encourage you to learn. I'm sure you should have been enrolled on your LMS learning management system where you get all the resources, right, that um have been shared from the first week up to the 5th week, right? Yes. Yes, Miguel J, you will be able to understand the code used in the cells. Yes, you would. And then if you do not understand, you are learning generative AI, right? You've been taught how to do prompt engineering and all. So you could just also easily ask GPT, oh, what is going on in this part, right? I do not understand what's going on in this part, right? So you could always check what is going on in that part. Emmy is saying, please, the command in itself, are we supposed to cram it or you do not need to cram it, right? You do not need to cram it. Two ways, right? Whenever you need to do something similar to this, whenever you need to do something similar to this, you could just easily come to the example notebook that have been created for you, right? You can just come to that example notebook, lift that code, right, and then use it, right, as it is. But one thing you just have to be sure is that you understand how that code is working, understanding bits cramming, right? Understand how the code is working, right, such that when there's an issue, you know how to fix it, or you know how to also prompt your models, right, to help you to fix it. Don't just copy code and paste code without understanding how the internals work. So cramming, no. Understanding, yes. Wow, Akode is saying, how do you have access to the notebook? Akode, please tell me, have you been in this class on Monday and Tuesday? If you've been in this class on Monday and Tuesday, I have the understanding that this notebook has been shared. Not just even to yes, the notebook was even shared in today's class, right? So if you did not still have access to the notebook as Monday and Tuesday, you could also still check your LMS or just scroll up right in the chat. You should be able to see the link to the notebook. Just reload, right? And then you get access to um the content, right, of the notebook. So let me know if you have that Akonde Adeboyega. Hooray! Yeah, Diamond, it worked. Excellent. When you input your GPT API key, it's returned an error saying secret not found. Hmm. So if you are getting that error, so let's come back to our saying secret not found. Then it didn't see that you pasted. Are you sure you pasted the API key in the right place? Right. So are you sure you pasted that API key in the right place? Because if you are running the same code that I'm running here, so let me share my Gradle tab instead. If you are running the same thing that I'm running here, right, all you just have to do is paste your Yarn GPT API key, paste it here. Don't paste it in the wrong place. If you paste it here, you should not be having secrets not found, right? Because you have pasted your Yarn GPT secret, so you should not be having that error. If it's telling you secrets not found, then it cannot see that you've pasted your API key where you're supposed to paste it. So let me see if more people have been able to interact with it. Um, change the voices, play with it as they want. Okay, so I'm still waiting for more people's responses. So when we have more response, we can move on to the next thing that we have to do. So let me share this tab instead. So I'll stop running waiting for more responses. You know that once you stop running this on your Google Colab, right? You will not have access to this your app again, right? So one way you could also explore, right? You could also explore how to use Hugging Face Spaces, right? It's very simple. Hugging Face Spaces to take your Gradio app. You know, we've created lots and lots of Gradio applications during the course of this class. So you could explore how to use Hugging Face Spaces, right, to take your Gradio app away from your notebook, such that even when you're not like running the code on Colab and all, you just give somebody the link to your Hugging Face page, right? And they can always have access to what you've done, an application that you've created. So this is me telling you to explore how to take your Gradio app, right, away from your Google Colab notebook. Create Hugging Face spaces, right, for your app. And I'm very sure that will be very, very easy for you to do. All right, so since we do not have any question again, I can't see any question again in the chat. I would assume that most of us have been able to get this, and then we've run it successfully, right, on our end, and then we've gotten results, right? If this is not the case, let me know. Okay, excellent. I can see Francis saying done. If this is not the case, do let me know so that we can put you on the right track, right, if you are having issues. So before we run the next cell, that cell labeled bringing it together in your notebook, I want you all to think of everything that you've learned, right, throughout the course of this class. My screen is blurry. My screen is not blurry. My screen is not blurry, then it's definitely your network. Check your network. Secure. Yes, Dorcas, you can do that. Excellent to see that you've gotten it. Mary Bayo, still not gotten the. Are you having issues? Let's know where you are having issues. Yes, you are using your phone. Well, even if you are using your phone, you should still be able to do it because we all can access Colab on the web, right? And you still have Chrome on your phone. So all you just have to do is run that cell on your phone, click on the Gradio link. It's going to open in a new tab, right? So once it opens in a new tab, just play with it and then click on it, generate the audio. So you can still do it on your phone. That's what I'm trying to tell you. All right, so while we are trying to do that, you can just listen to me while you are trying to get that done on your end. So I want you to think about everything that we've been doing in this class, right? We've done a lot from the first week to the fifth week, and today is the end of the fifth week, right? So from the first week to the fifth week, we've taught you different things on text generation. You know how to do your prompt engineering. You know how to do retrieval augmented generation, and then you've just even added a new skill, right? You know how to translate text to speech and then also speech to text. Now, I want you to start thinking about your project. Start thinking about how you can merge some of the things that you've been taught, how you can merge them together, right, to do a very fantastic project. Even something that you might be having issues with at work, something that solves a problem, right, in your career path. Think about how you can merge the different things that you've done, right, to solve a very, very good problem, right? Yes. So I want you to have this at the back of your mind. Start thinking about it. It is not when they say that you should start working on a project. It's not that time that you now start thinking, oh, what do I want to do? What problem do I want to solve? With the things that you've been taught, right, with the things that you've been taught right now, think, how can I combine these different things to solve this, right? How can these different things that have been taught, right, what kind of thing can it solve, and what kind of value, right, can it bring when it solves that problem, right? So those are the things that I want you to start thinking of, and that is what that next cell is trying to push you to do, right? It's trying to push you to think of how you could use the chat completion inference API that we've been using from Hugging Face, right? How can we still use it, right? Okay, I can see that most of us, okay, just me girl Jane that responded to that. No, don't share it yet, right? So that you not say somebody else took your idea for something. Just have that idea in your mind, right? To say, okay, this is what you've been taught, and this is how you are going to think of combining everything that you've taught to solve a very good problem. So, just like I was trying to say, the next cell, right, in that notebook, that is what it is trying to push you to do. So it's trying to show you how you can think of combining everything that you've been taught. These things do not just work in silos, right? You can think of combining them. So here we are going to be using an Hugging Face inference API, get our content from it, and then pass it to one of our pass it to our Yarn GPT, no, the speech rather, the speech API. Is it even speech or Yarn GPT? Let me confirm. So start thinking. It is not until you are given, you are told, right? So you'll be using the Yarn GPT there, right? Our Face API with also Yarn GPT. All right, so before I run this cell, I'm sure most of us have been able to um okay, favorites. You are still trying to get your API key from speech. It keeps showing error. Where is showing the error? I'm sure speech wouldn't show you error. It's very, very easy to get started on the speech API, right? All you just have to do is go to your speech dot app, right? Go to that site, sign up, follow the prompts given, and then create your API key, right? You and at the end of the day, you end up having something like this, and then you have to do create new API key, give it a name, copy it, and then add it to your secret as we've been doing from week 1 of this class, right? Okay, so moving on. So I'm going to run the part for bringing it together now. So I'll be giving a very high level overview of what this code is doing. And then once I give a high level overview of what this code is doing, we'll go through it together. And then you will now think of other ways in which you can join what we've learned before, right, with this um speech part. Okay, so on a very high level, yes, so on a very high level, right, so what this is trying to do is to first You know, a problem above, right, is that we have to manually put in a conversation, right, that we want to be translated to speech. So I now thought, oh, why do we have to manually put in our conversation when we can just have a user say, oh, generate a conversation about, let's say, electronics, or say, generate a conversation about this, right? I could just put in that prompt and then have a conversation generated, right? But what would be the steps, right, to go from a user putting in a prompt, say, I want a conversation on this, and then we go to a voice that actually speaks, telling us a conversation, right? Speaking two voices speaking on in a conversation about that prompt that the user has put in. So the first thing that came to my mind is, oh yeah, we can just use our Hugging Face, right? Chat completion, and then prompt it. Give our system prompt. Sorry, excuse me. You can just give our system prompt to say, oh, the conversation writer generates natural dialogues between two people. Formats, right? So this is where what? A few short prompts, right, will come to play. You know that you have to give what? An example format of how it should what? Generate that conversation for you, right? So we are giving an example here, which is a few short prompts, right? And then we also have um yes, sorry, the role of a user, and then we have the role of a system, right? And we'll do our client or chat completion, that's just as we've been doing from week one of this class, right? So once we have our generated text, right, we will just take that one and go and plug it into our podcast code above. So it is the podcast code above that we also have here. You can see our call TTS function, right? Just like we had it before, and then generate audio part, right? And then we'll now have our what? Our radio interface. So always think of how everything that we taught you, how can you bring everything together nicely, tie it together nicely to solve a very good, valuable, a very good problem, right? So once I click on this link, I'll click on this link and then share this tab instead. Okay, I can see about you telling you favorite, saying that you should refresh the API key page. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, exactly. You should do that. Favorite, right? But I think the error she's talking about is from her notebook, right? But favorite, do try everything. Get your API key, refresh just like Abaji is telling you to refresh, and then um get your API key, add it to Google Colab, right? Okay, so moving on, now we have to add two API keys, right? You have to add your Hugging Face API key and then your Yarn GPT API key. So I'll just come back to my Colab notebook. Let me share this tab instead again. And I'll click on key, and then come and copy my Hugging Face token. So I'll paste it. So let me share this tab again. So I've pasted my Hugging Face token there. So I'll copy my Yarn GPT API key. So I'll share this my Colab notebook again. So I'll come and copy my Yarn GPT API key, and then I'll paste it here. So let me share this my my Gradio UI again. And then, so you have to tell me, what do you want the conversation to be about? Let me say healthcare in Nigeria. I'm sure it's not going to give me something so good with this, which is now one thing I want you to think about. If we are giving it a niche conversation to talk about, right, something that it might not have seen before during training, right, how can you now improve the type of conversation that it is going to generate, right? So these are things that you need to think about. Think about, there are lots and lots of projects that you can work on. Given even just these 5 books that you've been taught, right? Lots and lots of projects, right, that you can think about. So I'm going to say, tell me about healthcare in Nigeria. Let me see. What are the tons of conversation that you want, right? Here we have 6. I can just increase it to 8. And then I'll click on generate conversation, right? So it helps me to generate. So this one is just the part for the model, right, for mugging face, generating our from our inference client chat completion endpoint, generating this conversation, right? But normally, right, you would don't want to show this part, right? You want to show this generate conversation part. You just want it to be generated automatically so the user doesn't really know what is going on underneath, and then you will just hear voices speaking, and they begin to wonder, wow, what's going on? How did you get from a prompt, right, to text, right? And then that is a proud moment for you. So you can just pick your voices. I'll pick Emma, and of course, you might not even want the user to pick your voices if you are creating your own final project. You just give them a very, very nice voice that you think convey what you want it to convey, right, um in your app, right? So and I do convert to audio. So it is currently processing. Yeah, so while that is processing, let me answer more of your questions. So you should sign in again then. You should sign in again. Favorites, right? It goes back to completing signing in page again. Then sign in again, right? Sign in again, create your API key. Make sure you copy it before you close that page, right? And then add it to your Google Colab page. So I hope as I'm running this on my end, we are also running it right on our end, and we are thinking of, oh, some of the things you could advance, some of the things you could do, and all. So I can see Abi Anthony saying after this cell, you are getting authentication error simply because I'm sure when you were adding your secrets, right, to your secrets part in your Google Colab, you did not name your own speech API like I named mine, right? So you have to do for that user data.get, the speech API that you can see there, it has to be the name, right, that you gave your API key in your Colab notebook. So change that part and I think it should work, right? Abia Anthony. So the speech API, change it to whatever you named your API key on your Google Colab, right? And I think it should work. So let me know when that works. Please confirm if you can still see my screen. Abi Anthony, please let me know when it works for you. Oh, Dorcas is saying it's taking forever to run. It should not take forever. Okay, what do you mean by, let me understand what you're trying to say. What do you mean by it's taking forever to run? Do you mean when you run the code in Colab, it's taking forever to run? Or when you are trying to generate this final audio here, it's taking forever to run? So which are you trying to say? If you are running it in Colab, it shouldn't take forever to generate a radio link, right, for you, right, that you can use, right? It shouldn't take forever. But if you are converting to audio, because of the amount, the length of the conversation, it can take a while. It shouldn't take a while, Dockers. Then maybe you just restart your session and then try to run it again. When you can see that mine didn't take when I was running it from Colab to get my link, right? So it shouldn't take a while from Colab, right? Try to restart your session and run everything again, then it should work. Oh, excellent, Shegun Bello. And it's worked well. That's great. Please restart. No. It shouldn't take that long. Please restart your whole section. Sorry, restart your whole session. You could also delete your um previous runtime, right? You could also delete your previous runtime to see if that would help. I can see Francis saying you should change the bug from true to false. Well, I don't think that would really be an issue, right? Because the bug is also true on my end, right? And it didn't take that long, right? You can see that the bug is true on my own also, right? So it's not supposed to take that long. Something else is wrong with that session. So you could just delete and run it all over again. It shouldn't take time at all, right? So let me share my radio app again, right? And then I will now play my audio. So let's listen to this beautiful audio we've created together. All right, so this could be improved. Yes, this could also even be a very nice project you work on, right, for your final project. But it could be improved, right? You want to that system prompt, right? You want to make it generate you want to make it generate like a very good natural conversation flow. You want to like tweak it and all for it to sound normal, right, to the human ear. Yes, you are right, Francis. Yes, the notebook. Yes, it will keep spinning. Yes. So it's one of projects, right, you can think of working. So this in this part, all we just did is we just gave a system prompt for normal models, chat completion models to generate a normal chat completion model to generate. Oh, I can't see Miguel just say Idara sound that she has not eaten. So it depends on the voice, right, that you want. So here our chat completion model generated the conversation, which can still be prompted better, right, to give a more natural sounding flow, right, of the voices. So it can still be prompted better, right? All we just did here is few short prompting, give an example of the type of generation conversation we want it to generate, and then we now passed it right to our passed it to our text to speech model, right, which is Yarn GPT. So what other things, right? Let me ask you, do you think you can merge together from what we've done that can be converted into speech, right? What other things do you think we can merge together and then it can be converted into speech? Excellent, great one that you got that now, favorite. So what other things can you merge together that can be converted, right? From what we've learnt, rather, from what we've learnt before, right? And then you're learning text to speech now. What do you think you can concatenate? I like that. Text summarization and TTS. That's wonderful. That's like a project already, right? Text summarization and TTS. Excellent. Right. So let's have more responses. So these are the things that you should be thinking about, right, when you want to work on your final project. I can see Olajumoke saying PDF and text to speech. Okay, so you want to use maybe something like RAG in that instance, and then also talk. Yeah, excellent. I like that also. Great one, Olajumoke. So I'm going to stop running my own radio app now. So an assignment, right, for you this week, right, would be for you, right? Think of things you can merge together, right? That you can merge together based on what you've been taught and then combine it, right, with speech, right? And then tell your tutor on Monday what you did and how you worked on how you worked it. So great one, excellent to see our responses. I can see Miguel Jane saying speech to text, then summarize, then text to speech. Well, say you have like a large audio that can be broken down, then you're first converting it to text, and then you're summarizing that text, then giving it in speech back. All right, excellent. Yes, do you want to buy? Okay, I can see Simon saying sentiment analysis and speech to text. Sentiment analysis and then speech to text. Speech to text is saying that, oh, I think you'd want to say, would you rather have wanted to say speech to text and sentiment analysis, such that when somebody is talking, right, we can take out the sentiment from that speech? Excellent. I think maybe we wanted to put the speech to text first and then before sentiment analysis. That's wonderful. Wonderful project also, Simon. Yes, so you can say um speech to text from a text what somebody is saying, then you can detect, right, the sentiment right from there. I like that. Well done. Idowu Samuel, can you create a song? Well, you can research more on that, right? We are just here to give you the basics, right? You can research more on, oh, how do I create a song? And I'm sure you are going to get a response, right, to that. All right, so we have just 15 minutes to the end of this class. We have just 15 minutes to the end of this class, and we'll be using that remaining 15 minutes to um talk about something else, talking about image generation. So let me go to my Gemini. But before going to this new aspect, let me know if you have any question with what we have discussed today on speech, text to speech with Yan GPT, text to speech with speech, and then also speech to text with speech, and then concatenating in a very basic term, joining different things, right, that we've learned, right, all through the all through the all through this boot camp, right, from the first week to the fifth week, right? Today is the end of this fifth week, right? From the first week to the fifth week, right? To be able to combine things that you've learned and then use it to work on a very sound, right, project that solves a very good problem. The universal explainer, would we still cover video generation? No, I do not think so, because next week, if we are following our curriculum, next week is supposed to be focused on translation. Yeah, next week is supposed to teach translation if we are following the curriculum. And then the one for that's week 6. For week 7, we will be looking at the part for Gen AI for healthcare, right? And then the last week we'll be looking at bias, right? How to know if these models, right, are biased. Okay, so moving on, I can see that we do not have any more question. Oh my God. Well, from the depending on how we do the translation, right? How fast we are able to go through the um translation class, right? Then there may be time to also go through video generation, but you want to majorly use VO3 for that, right? And if you know how to prompt well, you've been taught prompt engineering. So with VO3 and then prompt engineering, you should be good to go generating type of video, right? Sorry, that you want to generate. Godwin, how do we get the curriculum? The curriculum has been pasted on your learning management system. That's what I've been told. I know the curriculum has been posted on your learning management system, and then you can always get, yes, thank you. just like your name, the universal explainer has already responded to you. Can get the previous videos on YouTube. So excellent. So let's move on to vid sorry image right recognition. So and then luckily, as I am opening my Gemini, right, I'm getting this very good ad telling me about the latest version of Nano Banana. Everyone here, maybe not everyone, some of us, right, might know that the technology, right, backing up image generation in Gemini is called Nano Banana. And what can it help you to do? Can use it to generate um text within image. You can see here seamlessly transfer image styles, combine multiple images at once, but this is for the pro. And then you will not be trying the pro. You can try out the pro on your end. Right. So to have access to Nano Banana, all you just have to do is click on, let me cancel, create image, right? Create image, right? Or if you do not have that, you can click on tools and then you also see create image, right? So somebody should give me a prompt. We have been taught prompts, different kind of ways to prompt. So give me a prompt, right, in the chat on the type of image. Oh my god, I'm not sharing my screen. Okay, so let me reshare my screen. Okay, so what I was saying before was you could click on create image, right? Or you could click on tools and then do create image. So anyone works, click on create image or click on tools and then also create images. So I was saying you should give me a prompt. Let's see, give me a prompt on oh my god. We've done pink us before at the beginning of this class. Now let's try something new. Really. Donald Trump in Nigeria, Donald Trump wearing agbada. Okay. Oh. What if you give me a better say you want to create a picture for an ad for your business? Can you see my screen now? I'm sharing my screen now. Please confirm if you can see my screen. Oh my god, you can't see my screen. Oh, let me reshare. I'm actually currently sharing my screen and I have a very beautiful image of Donald Trump here. It's so fine. Let me reshare my screen. Oh my god, I think this. Please confirm if you can see my screen now. Exactly. Yeah, it's really cool. Wow, it's surprising that you can't see my screen. I'm actually sharing my screen. I think it's an issue with the software I'm currently using. Let me try. All right, so I'm sure we can all hear me now. So let me share my screen. I think we can still see my screen. I think the admins have not been able to help us make sure my screen is showing. Okay, great one. All right, so it has been done. Okay, so we can see the image, our image being generated here. And it's very nice image, right? So we can also try it out on our hand, try out different prompts, right? That you have put in the chat. Try out different prompts that you have put in the chat, and do not just try out like it's for playing, right? You could also try it out, right? Let's say you want to do maybe an ad and all, see what kind of image it is going to generate for you. And apart from that, right, for people that are in the teaching line here, right, sometimes you have to write your maths book, write the students' names using your pen and paper. You could also see how to snap. You could just snap that your score sheet or marks book. You could snap it and also upload it, right? When you have that image, just upload it, right, by adding a file to Gemini and tell you to extract the text for you, right? So in that instance, it can also extract text, right, from any image, right, that you give to it. So there are lots and lots and lots of applications, right? No, I didn't generate it in Nano Banana Pro. It's just the normal free version, right? So all you just have to do is click on tools, image, or the other way we did it. And we have just 1 minute to the end of the class. I hope you've learned a lot, right, in today's class. Do not forget about your assignments, please. Don't forget about your assignments. Work on it. The assignment is to think of everything that you've done. Think of a problem that you can use it to solve. Combine the different things that you've learned and use it to solve a problem, right, that you would be proud of solving. It can also be an initial step that you take, right, towards your project. So thank you very much for joining today's class. I hope you've learned a lot and see you next week. Bye.